Welcome to the very anticipated patch notes 25.2.2 addressing the new broken tribe Undead and hopefully some other things as well, so let's take a look. It is a data only patch, so I don't think you have to download anything. Launching today, so as you're watching this video, it's probably live. That includes updates to standard, battlegrounds, duels, and more. Obviously, we're only gonna look at the battleground stuff, so the only real game mode after all, right? So armor changes, the following heroes have less armor, Onyxia and Sneed, so that means they were good. Onyxia and Sneed seem like bad heroes to me. I guess they have some synergies with like Avenge and with Undead, and that's why. Still don't think it's that good though. And the following heroes have more armor because they are bad, and that is Pyramid and Sylvanas. So Pyramid I think recently got nerfed and now they're moving up the armor, so that's interesting. Now Sylvanas is just a bad hero. I'm surprised this is the only heroes out of like the 100 heroes that we have right now that they decide are too bad, but okay. Card changes. So Torn Captain, that's the 1-drop. It used to be a 4-1, it is now a 4-2. So I don't know if the 1 health, like it's a pretty big static minion for like tier 1. This is one of the bigger spikes that you can have on tier 1, but again, it doesn't help if anything. The reason why it's not picked a lot or played a lot is because it doesn't pivot you into a position of like composition. You prefer anything that's money, so tokens are good. Also obviously Mummy and the taunt, the reborn taunt, are really good because they have both reborn, they enable the higher tier synergies, they're undead, and that is really strong. So there's a lot of cards, like even Scalawag triggers Avenge, like that are just more useful. Even though they're less tempo, you don't really care about the early tempo, and you don't even know if you're gonna buy a lot of cards in the early game anyway. So this card is still not gonna see that much more play just because the utility of it isn't there. You don't want to play this in a mid or late game, while some of the other cards can stay around, so they help you with money. They could, you know, lead to more. But hey, we'll see what this does. Now, Eternal Knight got nerfed, -1 attack. That's, I don't know if you can call that a nerf. I feel like this is kind of a cosmetic nerf because you don't really care. You can still play Anubarak, you can still play all of these different things. Whether your knights in the end game are gonna be 60 attack and then like what, 57 health, they're now gonna be 59 health, 59 attack and 57 health. No one cares. That doesn't matter. But hey, I mean, early on, you're gonna take more damage. Early on, this is worse, the trades line up worse, so I guess it is somewhat of a big deal. If you hit it early, you will be taking more damage, it's gonna be more greed, but in the end, it is not gonna matter, right? Like, high roll Undead boards will still be giga strong, this doesn't impact it, so we hope that the higher tier scaling is also impacted. This does impact your early turns, again, you will be taking damage, but I know that some higher tier cards are also getting nerfed, so hopefully that isn't an additional thing that is gonna impact this tribe now. Rule of the Feast, a lot of people have been complaining about, because it's kind of like a ground shaker, a better ground shaker on a lower tier, because it is Avenge 1, and it stayed Avenge 1, where whenever a minion dies, of course Avenge 1, all different tribes on your board get plus 3 attack, yeah. So they just moved it to +2 attack. That makes sense. That was something that I suggested, and it's still gonna be strong. I think you will still see it being played. Getting a lot of free attack on your board is still a good thing to help you stabilize or help you power level. I think it's still, yeah, gonna see play. It's not gonna be as strong or oppressive anymore. It actually used to like even enable some sort of mid-late game builds. Like I saw stuff like this get up free. I don't know if that's still gonna be the case, but it will still have the same utility as it had before and still see play. But for Quill, that's the Quillbo Naga that gets poisoned whenever you play a spell on it, just got 6 health. Again, this doesn't really matter too much, it's usually just 1 hit anyway, right? Like if you shield it, you just get 2 kills with it, 2 health is not that significant. Like you don't pick this up for tempo, you're not gonna pick this suddenly on tier 4 because it has 2 extra health, right? This just helps it survive against tokens a little bit, so it's an okay buff. I think, you know, it helps the card. It's not suddenly gonna have it see more play. The only real buff to Perfect Quill would be a nerf to Undead. Like, I think Poison is fine right now, it's in a decent spot, like Toxfin on tier 6, this card on tier 4, it's all good. It just sees such little play, just like Leroy and Manted Queen, because everyone is running Undead, and against Undead, this is irrelevant, right? So if Undead gets nerfed, I'm pretty sure that Poison is gonna be fine, doesn't need a buff, but we'll see, right? I think, you know, it's an okay thing. I'm not too upset about this, but like the only reason that cards like these are underpowered is because of underlying issues with the new tribe. Ripsnell Captain, so this is like a random pirate that they decided to buff. Instead of giving +2/+2, when another friendly pirate attacks in, it's gonna give +3/+3. So it's more tempo. It was already a pretty decent tempo spike, it's more tempo now. But again, like when you play Pirates, you usually don't have this on the board later on. If you're playing Pirates, you're playing an Eliza comp, which is just super strong, but with the removal of Khadgar, less viable. Or you're playing mostly with Hogger. So you play Hoggers, infinite money, and with infinite money you care just about Peggies and Salty Looters, right? And obviously Ball of Minions and all those other neat interactions, and with the arm you want to buff shit. You never really have these on the board anymore. So this just allows you, I guess, to set up early Pirates better if you want to lean into it, or if you triple into it, it makes you slightly stronger. But the card still in the late game is not going to have much, if any, utility. It's just going to make Pirates even stronger in the mid game. But right now this is 0 play just because Pirates like is really bad against Undead. Yeah, I don't think this will impact the tribe too much, but I guess. Master of Realities, holy shit, it is now a tier 4 card, but it's a 4/4. So this is actually pretty good buff. Having this on tier 4, first of all, good synergy with Magmalock, although Magmalock is getting nerfed, I'm pretty sure, but it would have had good synergy with Magmalock. It sets a party elemental on Molten Rock even better early, so maybe you could actually do some sort of party rock comp, you know, if things kind of tune down, the high roll is less prevalent. There's no more Major Domo though, so I guess it kind of makes sense to move this down now a tier. It does have some other synergies. I think you're gonna see much more of this card. It being a 4-drop is massive. Like the 4/4 base stats nerf is like, it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah. It also depends, I guess, on how much Magmalock is gonna see play. If Magmalock got nerfed into the ground, maybe this is still not gonna see play, but I think it's pretty significant. Anubarak, so one of the stronger cards to find in the game now. Got moved to tier 4? What the fuck? So it used to be a 5/3. Therefore, all your Undeads have +2 attack for the rest of the game. So Undeads always have +2 attack. This stacked with a Baron or Titus or Titus. Dude, I get so many comments about me mispronouncing it. I don't care anymore. It also works with giving it Reborn. It was just a really good endgame build, a very versatile, flexible. You can set it up in multiple different ways, and it scales out of proportion. So they moved it to a lower tier. It is now a 4/3, so they removed 1 attack from it. Therefore, your Undead have +1 attack for the rest of the game. So the scaling got halved, which is a pretty big deal. But again, you can hit it earlier. So now you can triple into an early 4 and hit this. Or you can just roll into your 4, hit multiple of these. So even though this seems like a significant nerf, moving the attack from 2 to 1, I think the fact that it's on tier 4 is very scary still. Because again, you can find more of these more easily. You don't have to level to 5 or triple into 5s. Plus, this is on the same tier as the Splitter, or is it Soul Splitter? The guy that gives Reborn, so you could more easily find that combination, you know, give this guy Reborn early. I think that the endgame is definitely going to be weaker. I think Anubarak endgames, they will still exist, but rightfully tuned down. We'll have to see. It's hard for me to grasp how big Anubarak boards are now going to be, knowing that you can get it earlier, but knowing that it usually scales less quickly. Yeah, we have to see. I think they shouldn't have put it to tier 4, but maybe it was too weak then. So Magmalock, yeah, I just switched places with the thought. It is now a 5-drop instead of a 4-drop. And the base stats, I guess, of 1/1 on tier 5 is god-awful, so they made it a 3/3 instead. I approve. I think Magmalock on tier 5 does make sense. It kind of feels bad to triple into. You just get a 3/3 or maybe a 4/4/5/5. Depends on how many cards you play that turn, of course. The tempo is not going to be amazing. You can set up for it, you can cycle it, but now you need to triple into 2 5s. You need to triple into Magmalock and Bran. I just played a game where I had to stay down on 4 and I found multiple Magmalocks, and then I triple into Bran and then you get going, right? You get super big, you can win games. Now you need to either be on tier 5 or triple into multiple 5s and get lucky. So it's going to be way harder to pull off. I think Galliwix is one of the few heroes that can probably still do it consistently. Just have a lot of money, level to 5, roll a lot. It's going to struggle. Because very often when you power level to 5, you don't have time to pick this. You're just going to die, right? So if you power level, you want to find cards like the Anubarak, you know, which is now tier 4, so that's easier. But cards that instantly make you stronger, that instantly give you a future. This is not it. Also, when playing Murlocs, you're often stuck on tier 4 because you're cycling with Lookout. Lookout could discover this, and Tads, so you could more easily find them. But now, none of that does unless you are tier 5. It's just a big like milestone or big thing you have to overcome if you want to get Magmalock online and try and skill with it. I think that's definitely you know, a bigger nerf. So Soul Splitter, this was the card I talked about earlier. It used to be a tier 4/4/2 reborn that gives reborn to a different one. It is now a 5/2 on tier 5. So this as a 5-drop is super low tempo again. You'd hate tripling into this, that would feel awful. But again, it's a big enabler, right? Like this combo together with Anub'arak, or together with anything really. Like reborning any undead is pretty good because it also makes Sister a lot more consistent. With Knights, you just get more scaling, you get more summons. With Hand, if you have, or Handless Forsaken, I think is the name, if you have a lot of attack on it. Definitely significant. You don't just pick this up anymore when you see it. I used to do that most of the time. I have Undeads or F whatever, find Soul Splitter, let's just take it, you know? It deals 8 damage total at least, and it might give me more value in the future. Now, it is definitely like one of those key pieces that you have to roll for or triple for. It's gonna be interesting because you can find Anub'arak earlier and get that going, but in order to get like real good value of it, get more scaling and set up a better endgame, you'll have to look for cards like these on higher tiers. So the setup is easier, but the actual execution of like the perfect endgame comp is harder so far. I really have to see how it plays. It's really hard to visualize how this is gonna go, like the +1 attack and then finding these on 5. Vanessa Van Cleef, so another pirate buff. We already got a 4-drop. Now this one, whenever it attacked, it gave pirates +2/+1, and now it gives +2/+2. So it's like a light thing for your pirates. If it has Wind Fury, it's a golden light thing for your pirates. I actually prefer Light Fang because Light Fang gives it to multiple tribes. Menagerie is a better setup. You can do Menagerie with so many different combinations. There's so many synergies now. You have Teotar, you have Bran, you have Ball of Minions. So in general, Menagerie is just better. Light Fang is almost better than Vanessa because even though +2/+2 is good, and again, there's like, this is a big spike, it's decent scaling. Buffing pirates is never as good as buffing Cleaves or Divine Shield cards. So I still don't think this is going to see a lot of play. It's going to be still the same issue as before, that pirates just have decent stats. The only way they win late game is with Hogger. You will never see a Vanessa board win. I've never seen it get top 3 even. So I think the +1 health is nice, but it's not gonna solve its current issue. Cyborg Drake. Now this card was actually giga strong. This was definitely a sleeper. I rated it pretty high, expected it to be strong, but the main issue why I didn't see damage play is because Undead, of course, and that is basically making everything just undertuned. So this definitely needed a nerf. They basically upped the base stats by 2 health, but they nerfed the attack bonus from Divine Shields from 10 attack to 8 attack. And I think that's fine. I think it's still good. Like, you still want to pick this up when you have Deflectables or Macrolls. You can still make an endgame comp out of this, or whenever you play Menagerie, it's a good card to have. So I still think it's good. I think it's not super significant. I think it needed a nerf because if that does get worse, I'm scared that Max would get too good. Or Dragons. I mean, Dragons is... I'm not too worried about Dragons, but still. Sinrunner Blanchi. Now, this card I did not expect to get nerfed. It basically just went from a 4/4 to a 3/3, which is kind of a big deal. A 4/4 on tier 5 was already pretty bad. A 3/3 on tier 5, which is technically a 6/6, is really bad. It's like Magma Lock, right? Times 2, I guess. But you only get payoff for this if you have existing scaling. This is only good if you have sisters to scale it. It's the same thing as before, right? It's good if you play Leaper, so you never want to triple into this card. You never really want to pick this up early unless you have tools that already help you scale this. With Menagerie, this is pretty good, for example. But yeah, so it makes it even less likely that you just have time to put this on the board because it's so low in tempo. But still a very interesting concept. I think the card will still see some play in builds. It will still be decent. It will just be harder to get online. Yeah, I mean, I guess Undead is easier to get online with Anub'arak. Like, you can find Anub'arak tier 4, and then it makes sense that you can pick up a Blanchi because it will early already have more attack than if you would have to pick up Anub'arak and Blanchi in the same turn. So maybe it does make some sense. Maybe it'll still be pretty good just because Anub'arak is lower tier. Again, Anub'arak is nerfed, it's only +1 attack, but it just means you can set it up earlier, so you'll actually get benefits earlier. You will just scale less into the late game. Yes. Look, Sin moved to tier 5. Again, same thing as before. They're buffing Poison, but the main issue why Poison doesn't see play is because it's not good against Undead. So if Undead gets nerfed, I think Poison is fine. Like, Tuxin is a 6, I think it's fine. Together with the 4-drop Naga Quillbore, it's fine. They still got Leroy and Manted Queen. I don't think they had to do this because now I'm scared, like, tier 5, you want to be there with Bran and Magmaloc, and now you can still only find a bunch of Tuxterms from Lookouts, because Murlocs, you don't really want to go to 6. On 6, you have the 6-drop Murloc, which is kind of overkill. You don't often need eat it, it's nice to triple into. Seafood Slinger, I guess, is the main reason you would want to level. Golden shit on your board or in the shop and get more value, you know, keep that process going. But yeah, if you tripling into Tuxfin is awful, first of all. It seems like tripling into 5 will be really bad. Actually, yeah, tripling into 5 is horrible. Tuxfin is now on 5, Blanchie is nerfed. This thing is nerfed. It's still decent to triple into, I guess. Vanessa, you don't care about. Soul Splitter is now a 5-drop. You would not want to triple into this early. Magma Lock, I still don't think you want to triple into this early either. Of course, if you're playing Brand, there's always exceptions, right? But it's very low tempo. Like on 4 is now you're scaling. You actually want to triple into a 4, it seems. And Master of Reality is there. So I think we're going to go into a meta where you want to triple early into 4 or stay on tier 4 and then triple into 6s. It seems like tier 5 is just not going to be the place to be. Unless I'm wrong, of course. And Greasebot got actually a big buff. He originally did already give +3/+2, but he got nerfed to +2/+2, or actually +2/+1. Don't remember exactly. He went through a lot of changes. He used to have a Divine Shield as well. But that is big. +3/+2 onto Divine Shields. Oof, man. The attack is going to be very relevant on stuff like Deflector bots and macros and all that stuff. So maybe we see Greasebot making a comeback. I actually think this is, like, even though it's a +1, you know, stat bonus, this used to be good. Even that is indeed tuned down, and mechs, I think, are going to be good again because of the Cyborg Drake. Yeah, we're going to see some Greasebot comps come back into the meta. And Fell Stomper ended up being a really good card. It actually was a good way to counter Undeads, but it's now also being nerfed. The health went up by 1 point, but the attack went from +3 to +2. So it kind of got the ghoul treatment, just lowered the attack a bit. I think it's still a strong card. It will still be a big tempo spike. Again, this is the kind of build you play for top 3 or top 4, kind of like a ground shaker comp. It is hard to push this for first, I would imagine, especially if you're going to see a lot of mechs, because mechs have a bunch of shields and shields counter high attack, low health units. So it's still going to be good. It's going to see just less play and be less relevant, especially if Undead is less prominent in the game. This was good at dealing with Undead boards early. It will have even less utility, right? And now Sister. So we're heading into the 6 drops for Undead. So it used to be a 4/11. It is now a 4/9, so 2 health. I don't think that's that relevant again. But the scaling went from +1/+3 to +1/+2. That is a really big deal. It will still be decent to have early, but the scaling was already like iffy, right? The only way that Sister comps won is if you hit an early golden Sister or double Sister, and then you get super high health. Maybe you have some attack scaling as well, but attack scaling is also now going to be less in the end game. So I think this was a good nerf. I think this is a nerf that I would give to Sister as well. It makes her, I don't know if I want to say significantly worse. I want to say just worse, to the point where she's still playable but not good. So tripling into this is not going to be like, oh, I win the game now probably, or I get top 3 at least. You need a way bigger high roll to actually, you know, win than instead of just hitting 1 6 drop. So I like this. I think this is a good nerf. And Summoner, a lot of people suggested removing the Undead tag. It seems like they didn't do that. Instead, it used to be, you know, at 8/1 Death Rattle Summon 2 Knights. It is now a 6/1 Reborn Death Rattle Summon 1 Knight. So it already has Reborn on itself. This is an interesting solution. It still summons 2 Knights, right? It's a 6/1, it dies, Reborns, summons another Knight. So this way you can't cheese multiple Knight summons out of it. Like originally, because it summoned 2 Knights on Death Rattle, you could still Reborn it with the 4-drop, now the 5-drop, and summon 4 Knights. Now, I mean, it is already reborn. You can't extra reborn this. The only way you can summon extra Knights from this is with Baron. So if you have the 5-drop, I mean Titus, Titus, whatever, then you can still summon multiple Knights, but you have to play a 1/7 on the board. That's a lot worse than playing the Reborn Undead on your board. So in order to get extra value, it's going to be a bit tougher. You have to be a bit weaker, but I think it's still good. Like, if you triple into this, it still does exactly the same, right? Maybe it's even slightly better if you just triple into it, because think about it. It used to be an 8/1, summons 2 Knights. Now it's a 6/1, comes back as a 6/1, so it's an extra body, and summons 2 Knights. So on triple, this is stronger than the original version, believe it or not. Just in the end game, it's gonna have less high roll potential, but I still call it good. I think it's still gonna be good. You will still probably see some Eternal builds, because I don't think Eternals got like Eternal Knights got that nerfed. I think mainly the sister stuff and the whole reborn package got, you know, nerfed with the 4-drop going to tier 5 and the attack bonus. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, I think Summoner is still good. Like, it's actually stronger now if you hit it early. But I like the solution. I just wish that they removed the Undead tag from it as well. If Eternal Summoner is picked as the first pick from Professor Purchaside's hero power, you can no longer be offered a reborn or poisonous minion as a second option. Okay. Also, what do I think of Purchaside? I think it's still gonna be strong, right? You can still just play the same Knight bullshit. Go to 6, play Eternal Summoners and Knights, and be really strong. I don't think he's gonna be that much worse just because of the changes we see here. So I'm a little scared that Purchaside is still gonna be the power level to 6 hero, get strong, get greedy, win lobby, or get top 8 because some people play it too greedy. But yeah, that's overall what I think of this patch. Let me know what you thought. That's it for Battlegrounds. Yes, I also hope they fix more bugs than this, because the game is currently littered with bugs. You still don't see the quest from Denephrius, what he picked. You also have like a lag spike whenever you roll, and there's that 2-drop pirates undead in the shop that has Avenge. So I hope they fix some more bugs. But yeah, I'm excited to give the game a try. I'll probably be streaming some of the next couple days, maybe making some videos. You know, all of that stuff. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day.